Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second Idea Stage pitch competition for TechRise. For those of you new to the audience, I am Desiree Vargas Wrigley, our Executive Director of TechRise and two-time Latina founder here in Chicago. And just to remind you of how it works, every week we have 3 to 5 founders who take the stage and pitch their ideas to a panel of judges who then ask them a few questions and then go back and deliberate real time. And then we present a winner at the end of the hour. So right around 12:55 Central Time. So make sure you stay tuned so you can watch and see who the winner is. And this week, the prize money, and has been actually consistently $20,000. So $20,000 for Idea Stage founders. They may not have an MVP yet. They might not have a website. This is really just an opportunity for our city to come together and basically say, we are your friends and family around, almost like replicating if you had a rich uncle, what it would be like to pitch him over Thanksgiving dinner and have them say, I believe in you, go try this, go experiment. So we're really excited to welcome all of these founders to the stage. And it's such an important part of this journey is to have these Idea Stage founders. And one of the big reasons why is that a traditional founder typically starts with access to about $100,000 in access to credit or cash. So it might be personal wealth, it might be a great job that allows them to moonlight, it might be just a credit card with a big spending limit. But the typical Black or Latinx founder starts their company with somewhere between $5,000 and $35,000. And so you just can't go as far when you have 1/20th of the resources. And so essentially we're just not starting at the same starting line. And that's really what TechRise is designed to do, is to help bring those starting lines closer together so that we have a more equitable tech startup ecosystem in Chicago and then hopefully across the rest of the country. So there are several ways that you can support these founders. As you'll see in the link below, there is an opportunity for you to mentor these founders directly so that you can just, you'll see the link and you can offer anything that you have in terms of guidance or strategic advice. But then of course, we're also a nonprofit fund. And so we aspire to be a $5 million fund. We're actually getting really close, and that means we can increase the prize money each week. The goal is to reach it to $50,000 a week in prize money. So hopefully we'll be there before the end of the year. But you can go to techrise.co/donate if you would like to make a contribution or if you would like to sponsor one of the weeks coming up. And then on top of that, if you are a founder at home or an aspiring founder or just someone with a great idea, we hope that you will have the courage to come on stage and pitch your idea also. So you can find out more at techrise.co/apply, and we would love to see you on our stage. So now I am excited to introduce to you our judges. First, and feel free to just come camera on, guys, when you are ready. But first we have Colin Wallace, who is a serial entrepreneur in the food and beverage space and CEO and co-founder of Zero Storefront, which provides a text message marketing platform purpose-built for purpose-built restaurants. Before that, he was head of innovation at Grubhub. He's built 4 companies, 3 of them have exited with pretty impressive companies, including Grubhub. He's an alum of Techstars, Y Combinator, and Harvard's SMVM program. And yeah, and also a new dad. So congratulations, Colin. We're excited to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah.
And then next we have Samara Mejia Hernandez. She is a founding partner of institutionally backed pre-seed stage fund, Chingona Ventures, which focuses on investing in technology-enabled companies all over the US. And before that, she was an investor at Math Venture Partners here in Chicago. She's really passionate about helping to support underrepresented groups getting into STEM education, venture capital, and entrepreneurship. And she co-founded the Latinx Founders Collective organization to bring together Latinx founders, investors, and community leaders to support our entrepreneurial system. So welcome, Samara. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
And then finally, we have Jeff Maters, who is managing director of Network Ventures, which helps early stage entrepreneurs navigate the transition and provide capital, expertise, and access to a broad network of companies and resources. He was an early investor in ShipBob, Print With Me, DraftBit. He was also the 3rd employee of Pritzker Group, so he's been part of our investor ecosystem for quite a while. And prior to that, he had venture capital roles at USB, BMV Capital, and Lehman Brothers. So great to have you all. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Look forward to the pitches.
Great. And so we're on time for one of the first times ever, and I'm so excited about that. So I am going to welcome our first competitor onto the stage. And so RAYR, will you please come on? And I'm excited to introduce Kevin Gabriel.
All right.
Thank you very much. And while we get Miss April set up, we're ready to go. All right. My name is Kevin Gabriel, founder and CEO of the RAYR, short for Rent Around Your Radius mobile app. Imagine with me this. Why do we pay full retail prices on things we need temporarily? Imagine traveling made easier when all the things you need are available at your next destination. Businesses with inventory just sitting on shelves, we just gave your back rooms a whole new life. Or maybe you're just like me, someone with a variety of useful things that could be making me money. Let your items work for you. Put it on RAYR. The RAYR mobile app turns everyday items into rentals. By opening this possibility, we seek to strengthen our local businesses and our communities. Targeting specific businesses to first build a strong marketplace, and then focus on expanding to include smaller individual goods and services. Previous competition failed to recognize that established businesses have inventory just sitting with an owner waiting to make his profit and eager to push his business forward. These are the people we seek to partner with. Now, studying our competition, we see the differences in our go-to-market strategy. Our partnership with these big and small businesses is the key. Forbes.com July 5th article stated, millennials are not a generation of product ownership. They are far more motivated by the life experiences and personal enrichment. There is a shift from temporary ownership to the temporary access of these luxury items. Now, we've all seen the emergence of apps catering to this new shared economy space. From Airbnb, Uber, and Lyft, Reaply.com has estimated this shared economy to be a 4.5 trillion economic output by the year 2030. And we here at RAYR are on our right path to make our mark. You may be asking yourself, how do we monetize this app? Service fees, along with late transaction fees, advertisement fees, ad positioning, click referrals, and recurring monthly tiered membership fees from our renters. As we have no inventory, our expenses are kept to a minimum, allowing for us to maximize on profits. The team here at RAYR is gearing up for our soft launch on August 1st. We've now partnered with Aztec Wisdom, a Chicago-based tech firm, to help complete app upgrades and assist us with feedback from our users during our initial launch. After talking to numerous business owners and consumers alike, we know our market strategy is the difference. Now, did you try to offer it up, but just couldn't let it go? Put it on RAYR. Thank you.
Great. Now we'll welcome the judges on for some questions.
All right, Kevin, thanks so much for the pitch. I had a quick question about how do you arbitrate the sort of quality of the products, or how do you make sure that when someone's renting it out, it doesn't come back damaged or something along those lines?
Definitely, very good question. So upon the product upload, you'll be able to describe its qualities. And before you as a user accepting it, you have to test it out in our progress screens. The first one's a big red screen. We make it like a red, yellow, green type of screen. So you make sure that, hey, this thing works before you take it with you. And then you press the thumbs up, it's good, or the thumbs down, I'm gonna pass.
Got it, thank you.
Of course.
Are there specific types of products that you look to start with when you launch this?
Yeah. So right now in Chicago, we're coming into, celebration season. Tents, chairs, barbecues. We want to start off there, knowing that we will go for just that specific market, and then just gather from there, see what the market goes, because the snow's coming next. Snow blowers, shovels, even if you live in an apartment building. That's right.
Thanks.
Hopefully that answers. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Kevin, for this great pitch. My question's around more on the customer acquisition on both sides. So how how are you going to sign up your first, call it 3 to 5 customers, and who are they?
Yeah. So we're going to start off with businesses and stores, as these are the people that need to expand and they have the will and drive to expand. Being able to be a different, another outlet for them to make an additional revenue, we're going to first grandfather them into a free 2-month plan so they can see how it goes. And then from there, they'll start charging their monthly. Once they see that, hey, this is actually moving, this is actually a good idea. Now let me go ahead and I'll pay for the subscription on the 3rd month.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Well, great job. Thank you so much, Kevin. And
Thank you very
now
much.
it is time for us to let everyone go video off, and we will and mute, of course, and I will invite our next founder onto the stage. So Keesha is going to join us with her social venture, Art of Culture.
Hi, everyone. Okay, let me get set up. Okay, so my dad used to always say, you don't live to eat, you eat to live. And growing up, I never really understood what that meant. But last year, when over 22 million Americans lost their jobs and 45 million households became food insecure, it made more sense. And Cook County was the 3rd county with the highest food insecure population and is expected to remain in that position this year. So then it should be no surprise that Chicago is full of food deserts. And on the west side, between West Garfield, East Garfield Park, and South Austin, hosting 130,000 residents, there are only 3 grocery stores. And yet, it's expected that the supermarket and grocery store industry saw almost $655 billion in revenue last year, while farmers lost almost $20 billion. In 2019, in Illinois, those grocery stores made $21 billion, with 60% of that market coming from Chicago. House swag. We don't know Kanye, but what we do know is people want to eat and people want to live. And the convenient corner stores that are in these neighborhoods selling the same liquor, the same sweets, and the same snacks isn't cutting it anymore. So at Heart of Culture, with a mission to create healthy environments to cultivate youth to become future leaders, we're creating a marketplace that gives residents direct access to local gardens and farms. How does this work? Well, once they create a profile and put their neighborhood in, they'll either be able to see what neighbors have urban gardens, or they'll see the produce that we've purchased from local farms on the market. They can also schedule an appointment with a registered dietitian for more personalized service, because we realize that a lot of people, these same neighborhoods also have a lot of health issues. And for a flat rate fee of $5, because everybody's got 5 on it on the gas tank, I mean, that delivery fee can't beat it. To capture our audience, or our market rather, we're going to partner with Link Up Illinois, which matches up to $25 in SNAP and EBT stamp. And it's a way to increase affordability and accessibility of fresh produce. We'll also use raffles and giveaways such as kitchenware to help with food preparation, and just offering family dinners at partner restaurants. But that's not just all. Because we realize that this is just one step to help with food insecurity, we're also working towards building an actual location or a physical location for a corner fresh market to compete with the quick food markets and the convenience stores that sell milk for $5 when it's probably $2 or $3 at the grocery store. So the Corner Fresh Market would be a physical location of that app, because after all, Amazon started online, but now you can go to Amazon Go or 5 Amazon Go's in River North. And that's kind of what inspired this model. But that's not just all. Amazon inspired it, being a future registered dietitian and also the granddaughter of a sharecropper. In 2021, I just said sharecropper, but also the daughter of an urban gardener. Horticulture means a lot to me, which is why the word horticulture is also part of horticulture. It's a play on words. So I ask you, will you help us to feed the neighborhood?
Great job. And now we can bring the judges on for some questions.
Thank you for that. Very interesting idea. I wanted to check on I know it's at the idea phase, but have you tested this out with customers? Like, have you tried having them place an order with you and you go pick up something from, the fresh market and deliver them? And if not, what sort of testing have you done?
So yes, last year we actually did a test with about 10 families where we had them sign up and they chose recipes because we wanted to kind of model that meal kit delivery service. And while some of the cashiers thought I worked for Instacart because it was a lot of groceries, we found that process was expensive. And from hearing from the families, sometimes a family of 3 probably had food left over where the family of 6 may not have had enough. And so we're trying now to see if instead of delivering those full meal kits, if it would be better to deliver those grocery items that's not available in their neighborhoods.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for the pitch. I think along the same lines with Samara, my question was about just some of the unit economics, whether or not you have explored any of that. Just you talked a little bit about the cost of delivery, of getting the goods from one place to another. It seems like that might be the opportunity because the cost of those same goods are so high in these sort of food deserts, right? And there might be an opportunity there. So I'm just curious whether or not you've seen any numbers there or that you've done any calculations around those unit economics and whether or not that might be the opportunity.
Not quite
Okay.
Just yet.
All right, that's okay.
Can you talk a little bit about how you build the supply side and how do you get enough of the kind of local producers in order to kind of be able to scale this?
Yeah, so we're going to work with organizations such as the Hatchery that helps residents in the East Garfield, West Garfield, and Austin neighborhood to create their own urban farms or urban gardens. So working with them, we'll be able to get a supply from the local urban gardens, but then we've also noticed at local fresh markets, such as the one in Oak Park or the one in Garfield Park, there are a lot of products that these farmers have left over. So we're going to build relationships with them to make sure that we have a consistent supply.
Got it. And sorry, quick follow-up, but do you have a sense for how much, how much supply they could actually fulfill in order for you to get to the scale you need or no?
So right now we're going to, our goal is to start the test with 5 to 10 farms and gardens.
Okay. Thanks.
Great. Well, wonderful job, Keesha. Thanks so much. And thanks, judges. We have a few more people pitching, so I'm going to welcome our next guest on, and that is Grapefruit Health and Eric Alvarez. And
all right, let me just go ahead and
Samara, I'm going to just ask you to go video off while he goes. Thanks.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Desiree, and hello, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Grapefruit Health. The opportunity to address senior isolation is comprised of 2 major problems. On the demand side, we see that 1 in 4 people over 65 are living in isolation. And with 10,000 people turning 65 each day, people living longer and longer, that number continues to grow. On the supply side, when looking at nursing as an example here, 80,000 qualified nursing school candidates are turned away each year from nursing school due in part to a lack of clinical rotations, which then contributes to a lack of registered nurses. And by the year 2030, we will be short by over 1.2 million registered nurses. So how can we possibly provide more care to existing patients while adding additional patients, all with fewer clinicians? The answer is with Grapefruit Health. We want to create an untapped, net positive, semi-clinical workforce by recruiting and training nursing students to perform specific tasks remotely. And by doing so, this will greatly reduce the amount of avoidable healthcare needed. We are both the technology platform as well as the services. And in this example, we are partnering with organizations enrolling specific patients into our program, matching them with a student based on several criteria, and then performing regular sessions between the student and the patient. During this time, there are 5+ value-added activities taking place, such as healthcare assessment surveys, and socialization activities, as well as closing gaps in care. So we're going to refer these patients into programs like smoking cessation, Meals on Wheels, and weight loss. And all of this information and activity is being captured and tracked and analyzed for actionable insights to our partners. So why nursing students? And we get this question a lot, and here's why. When looking at practical resources for solving this problem, you really have three options at scale and are cost practical. You have nursing students, you have lower cost clinicians, and you have non-licensed workers. And as you can see here, the nursing student is really the lowest cost. They have the necessary experience. They have the motivation and interest. I mean, who is more passionate and energetic than a student? And there are 320,000 of them across the country who are available for hire. And this is really at the top of their license, right? Versus a medical assistant who might be more appropriate and more valuable in a clinical setting. There are three types of possible partners who are at risk for the cost and care of seniors living in isolation today, which are listed here with some examples. And we've done extensive research with, and there are literally thousands of these organizations who stand to value from our solution. So now how do we make money? Well, here's a sample deal structure that can be applied to any one of the partners on the previous slide. They would give us access to 10,000 patients for us to provide services for, and it's $7 per patient per month. That equates to this dollar amount. And by running our playbook on this population, we estimate a reduction of avoidable care between 5 and 10%, which leads to a great savings for our partners and a great margin for us. Another big question I'm sure everyone's in mind is, will this work? And the answer is yes. A recent study published in JAMA in March by researchers at the University of Texas Health Austin, they actually matched 240 patients with 16 student callers. And over 4 weeks, they saw significant reduction in the rates of loneliness, depression, and anxiety. And that was just phone calls. That wasn't all the other value add that Grapefruit Health plans to add. And if we're lucky enough to win today, these funds will help make significant progress within our business. We would use them to fund an actual live pilot with a real client. We are actively searching for that first partner to perform a structured pilot with. So if you know anyone, or if you're interested, we would love to talk to you. Specifically, the money would be used to cover these fixed costs here. And lastly, 5 seconds on me. I am a Chicago native, Latinx, husband, father, military veteran with 12 plus years of healthcare experience, ranging from hospital administration to startups and consulting sales. And with that, thank you very much for your time.
That might have been a record in terms of speed. You did great. I'm just welcoming the judges on now to ask some questions.
Talk fast.
I'll start. Are there any, licensing or other issues that, using students versus somebody that's, fully in their career that you would run into, or no?
No, Jeff, that's a great question. So we're not providing hands-on clinical care. We're not taking vitals. We're staying away from that licensed clinical aspects of this. This is really a little bit more at the layperson's level. However, we are providing training and we do have clinical oversight. We also have risk representation, and we've explored what those contracts and the amount of risk coverage we would need. It's largely professional services type, similar to home health.
Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just curious, is there a barrier to using, actual like certified nurses, to provide the same service, right? Like obviously the demand for their services flexes in a given region or a given hospital at any given time, right? You've probably seen this as an administrator. I would think that this is a way to sort of dynamically service those needs using telemedicine in a bank of basically, nurse supply. I don't know if the student element of it complicates the model more than just sort of the standard thing, but applied through this like digital interface.
Yeah, that's a great question too. So the kind of the beginning slide was the supply and demand issue. And so with registered nurses being so short of supply, what we really need to do with them as a healthcare ecosystem is utilizing them at the top of their license. To do phone calls, healthcare assessments, socialization activities is far below their license. This type of work would be, it would not equate. So the average RN is paid $45 an hour when you include fringe benefits and those types of things. And so with a nursing student, it could be near free because this is part of their clinical education, or it could be at a stipend, which is less than minimum wage. And if it does get to minimum wage, it would be $15 an hour as a 1099. So that we're avoiding those, got
it. Yeah, it's like a virtual assistant for an RN.
Yeah, exactly.
Do all the stuff that's not worth my,
exactly. We're supercharging the outreach for senior isolation. That's exactly right.
All right, thanks.
Sure.
Thank you for that, Eric. I liked your energy and passion in the pitch. I'm I just invested in Connect Your Hero here in Chicago. So in the aging tech space, I've learned a lot and there's a huge opportunity. I wanted to just add just kind of a clarifying question with what Colin asked. So are you starting off with focusing on training nurses first, or are you starting off with connecting nurses to either senior living communities, home care organizations, or I actually don't even know. So that's the second part of the question. Who will you connect them with?
No, I apologize if that wasn't totally clear. So there's no registered nurses on our platform. This is completely a nursing student platform. So as students are going through the platform, we're utilizing them and connecting them. So they have some of that necessary training to do these types of things. And we're applying them. So we're matching them with this population. So sort of the uniqueness of this, the innovation behind Grapefruit Health is that we're using this untapped, sort of unorganized workforce, right? Within the 320,000 nursing students, not registered nurses. And so because the cost of that is so low that to utilize a student versus a registered nurse, we're able to actually scale this out and get the outreach that we can today. If we were going to use registered nurses at the $45 mark or north of that, we couldn't. The economics don't make sense necessarily for these value-based care organizations. The number has to come far, far, far lower.
And then at what point are they going to be able to help the patient? So is that right away with the phone calls?
Yeah, so these are phone calls plus these other 5 value-added activities. And so by doing that interaction, we believe that we're going to reduce the need for avoidable healthcare. According to that JAMA article too, we saw like a significant decrease in the instances of loneliness, depression, and anxiety. And I realized I was talking really fast, but would love to follow up with you on data there. But essentially, it's those interactions with the nursing students that is the value add.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great job, Eric. Thanks so much. I will have you guys go video off again. And then next we are going to introduce Julio Urrutia from Groundswell.
Hello, everyone. So we've been in the cannabis space since the end of 2020. And the thing that pops out the most is just the explosive growth in the space. But the other thing that we realized was that if, as it stands right now, outside of waiting in line at a dispensary, the only place an individual consumer would have the opportunity to interact with another consumer is at a dispensary. Brands are challenged by the fact that there's not one kind of central place where consumers are, and they're also limited by regulatory considerations on how they can advertise and inform consumers. And we realized what our opportunity was, which was to bring a mobile application that would allow for individual cannabis users to connect with each other, share product reviews, and communicate with each other, collecting them in one place, which would allow for brands to have a more streamlined and cost-effective way of targeting them and educating them on the variety of their products. We decided to call our platform Hive, and what it would consist of is a news feed, an education library, groups, brand channel, and a chat feature to encourage as much interaction as possible from users. Individual users would have the opportunity to create individual profiles, connect with other members of the community, and share whatever it was that they felt was on their mind at a given time. We're interested in this space, frankly, because the opportunity is enormous. By year's end, the US cannabis market is expected to reach $92 billion. And by 2025, the market is expected to reach $160 billion. Where we currently are is negotiating partnerships with 3 brands on our user acquisitions. High Times is the iconic, internationally recognizable cannabis brand. Platinum Vape is a California-based company that has its products in 750 dispensaries. Red, White, and Bloom is a multi-state cannabis operator that has assets across 7 states. We want to move fast and bring our product to market as quickly as possible. We're targeting an October deadline for a beta version of the product. If we were to win today, we would use the proceeds to build a very nice user interface, and we would be able to move our timeline up to about August. And ultimately, our business model would center around advertising revenue from the brands themselves. Quick snapshot of our competitive landscape. The big differentiator really for us in this space is our existing relationships with brands and our ability to build this platform. We've been able to develop some pretty significant traction in a short period of time because our prospective brand partners know that we have the right team and that we've identified a solution to a problem that they're facing. So thank you all for consideration, and I hope that we can speak again very soon. Thank you.
Judges on for some questions. Feel free to stop sharing screens so you guys can go big images. All right, who wants to ask the first question?
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, sure. I was actually trying to just get clarity a little bit. So is the platform to create sort of like tips and like helpful notes for people who are using cannabis? Is that what the offering is?
It's a social media platform for cannabis consumers.
Okay.
So that, you know, for example, you wouldn't
It's like
just
Discord for, you know, for people who use cannabis. Okay.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm an investor, full disclosure, in a company called RAYR, which is kind of the B2B or LinkedIn for cannabis, whereas you're more, I guess, the Facebook of cannabis. But question for you on that kind of follows what Colin just asked, but like what is the user behavior that you think is going to be the big driver of usage here? I mean, for Facebook, it felt like it was early on, it was photos, and what is it that you think consumers are going to want to interact with that kind of builds engagement on an ongoing basis?
I think it's just connecting with other consumers, right? I mean, I think, you know, you wouldn't expect someone to buy a bottle of booze and then just kind of like bring it home and enjoy it by themselves. I mean, plenty of that has happened recently, but I think it's the connectivity portion of it. There's no place for folks that are interested in these products to connect. And I think product reviews by users is something that, you know, if done in the appropriate way, can get some pretty significant traction as far as, you know, liking and sharing and those type of things.
Thanks.
Thank you for this. I'm also an investor in one of your highlighted competitors, which is Leaf Trade. Although I don't think that they are a direct competitor because they focus more on software for growers. But you know, tying into this, so and with Leafly, Leafly does a really great job at having customer reviews, and then they say, okay, what are you targeting? You want to sleep? Do you want to feel calm? And then they have all these reviews on that. So I see that there. But I guess my question is, if this is more of a kind of like a educational product review, connecting with other people to get use better products, I'm guessing that's what it is. You tell me if it's wrong. You know, and then the revenue model is running ads on the platform. How do you build trust with somebody and allow somebody to honestly review the products and learn from each other while, you know, being sponsored by kind of some of these products and not feel sold to?
Sure. You know, really the idea is to, you know, folks would connect with people that they already have a relationship with, or where there's some already accrued trust. And in other words, if I know someone and they tell me a product is really good, that might go a lot further than, for example, an ad from some other, you know, from a brand in this space. But the amount of products in this space across, flowers and edibles and topical, I mean, there's so many products. It's kind of like craft beer, where when you go down that aisle, you're just kind of overwhelmed with the amount of products that exist. And, in my case, I like craft beer, but I don't buy it because I don't want to spend $20 on 4 beers that I'm not going to like. But if someone who knows me told me, hey, look, this you might enjoy, then I'd be inclined to at least try it. So it's kind of that model that we're trying to go for.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Julio. Great job. Now we are going to welcome our final competitor to the stage. It is Dameon Masons from CRTSIDE.
One second. Hello, everyone. Hope everything is well. And we'll begin here. And my name is Dameon again, and our company is CRTSIDE. As a coach, as a basketball coach, I've realized there's no basketball community platform where athletes can connect, promote themselves to the appropriate audience, and prepare for this new era of name, image, and likeness. A new industry opportunity where athletes can be paid for the first time in American history. Our solution we created is CRTSIDE, where basketball athletes can promote content, maximize their name, image, and likeness, be recruited, generate fan engagement, and connect with college basketball coaches. How it works is simple. Step 1, you log in. Step 2, you create a profile, include your social links to maximize your brand. And we definitely want guys to fill out that profile as much as possible because it's going to definitely help with their visibility. Step 3, upload and share your content and generate fandom. And step 4, like we said before, connect with college coaches. We're attacking the overall market, $3.4 billion annually, and it's growing, and also has 450 million active Black basketball athletes globally. And it's the fastest growing sport in the world and constantly increasing each year. Our adoption strategy is simple. We have events that we host as CRTSIDE, and we plan to be an established presence at a number of different local and national basketball events. We also want to work with partners, influencers, and ambassadors to reach a greater audience and expose their audience to our brand, CRTSIDE. Our competitive landscape, our competitors here, 2 of them are big on the national stage, but they focus mostly on entertainment and established athlete brands. And the other 2 competitors are developing in the landscape, but they don't have a set focus and are using all sports to increase their visibility instead of a targeted approach like CRTSIDE does, with specifically using basketball. Our projections here, quarter 2, we're raising money. Next quarter in Q3, we plan to release our private beta launch with user testing. Q4, we want to hire freelancers. Q1 of 2022, we prepare to launch CRTSIDE to the public. And then going into Q2, we plan to gain momentum with traction, monetizing features and subscribers. For athletes by athletes, we don't want this to offend anyone, but our platform is built by Division I athletes who've coached, who've trained, who have deep industry experience and knowledge. And we've developed a number of relationships over the course of 15 plus years in working in this industry. And now, here's the time. Come sit CRTSIDE with us and help us create a new era of athlete marketing.
Great, judges can come back on.
Thanks, Dameon. Question on your beta. What is the goal of beta? So that could be number of users, engagement, partners. What's the main goal for beta?
Definitely, like what you just said, we want to get this in the hands of the users we're going to be targeting. So athletes, coaches, basketball personnel, people we already have good relationships with. We want to get into their hands, have them test it, get a feel for it, upload a lot of content as well. So upon release, that we have these things built into the app already, and we've already gained a ton of feedback from the users that we incorporated in early. And also test out bugs. We know with tech, there can be issues, things of that nature. So we definitely want to make sure that we cover our ground and build a solid foundation for the company.
Dameon, so this is a little more of a comment, less of a question. I think this is super interesting. I played college sports. All my siblings did as well. And there's been a ton of recent changes in regulation around how athletes can monetize their likeness and so on. It's a huge industry that we just were cut out of for a long time. I'm curious, how is your product tapping into that, right? Like, how are you helping athletes monetize the likeness, the followings, the like clips and all those kinds of things? I don't know, or is the focus more just on like getting followers? Because I think it's maybe a missed opportunity if that's the case.
No, definitely. One, creating content and allowing them the ability to upload and create the content themselves. That's going to be huge. Uploading game film, so college coaches to watch. Really using social media to pull their following over the court side as well. We also plan to, use our events and other things to draw in a lot of these followers, so that we can have a platform that everybody knows that that's the basketball specific platform that they go to. So. Sorry about that. Also, with exclusive content as well that Courtside is going to be creating. We're going to be creating our own series of content around a lot of these players, around a lot of these events as well. That's going to bring a number of different eyes onto our product.
And you talked about kind of a lot of this grassroots marketing that you're going to be doing, like going to local games and stuff like that. But that ultimately that's hard to scale. So what do you think in kind of the medium term? What do you think the growth strategy is going to be in order to get more athletes and get more people on board?
Yeah, we have, so the programs that we already have established relationships in the area, AAU programs, travel teams, we definitely plan to connect with them. We already have to just to get in contact with them and build relationships and get people on this app. That's going to be huge, and establishing those relationships is big, and that's why our basketball experience really helps us there, because we already have a lot of that established. Also, with again, our events are going to be huge with bringing on a lot of people, and our subscriber network as well. Moving forward, when we bring college coaches on, having them jump on as subscribers is going to help us also.
Thanks.
Great job, Dameon. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's competed today. You did a great job. And now the judges have a really tough job of going and choosing a winner. And now I'm excited to introduce our guest for today. Brad Henderson is the CEO of P33, and he also has a sports background. Actually, he played for University of Chicago, but he serves on many boards, including Acción, Interfaith Youth Corps, the Chicago History Museum, University of Chicago College Advisory Council, and the Chicago Council on Global Affairs. He's also a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader and a Leadership Greater Chicago Fellow. And he graduated with a BA and an MA from University of Chicago and attended Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar. So I didn't realize how accomplished you were, Brad, until I was writing this bio for you. But before P33, he was a senior partner at BCG, where he led their operations practice and was a BHI fellow reaching impact investing and ESG. So lots of great things to add. Oh, you're on mute, I think.
My parents refer to it as my Forrest Gump years.
Oh, great. Well, I'm sure they're very proud. Yeah. And now I am too, because now I know all the great things that you've accomplished even before coming to P33. But that's not why we're here to talk.
And I will say, my kids are also excited that we could maybe film. They want to make a movie, and they hope we can film it at Oxford. So they think that I have some special in to film a Harry Potter movie at Oxford.
You've got to have dreams. So I'm glad they do. Okay, so I did not know what P33 was before I joined the team. And I think a lot of Chicago is in the same boat, and probably just people across the country. So it would be great if you could just share with the audience a little bit about how P33 came to be and what it really stands for and what we're trying to accomplish.
Very simple. P33 started 4 years ago as a series of questions from some people who really care. And so when Secretary Pritzker came back from DC, she loves Chicago, like all of us do. And had traveled all around the world, seeing these places that were really emerging as tech leaders, and was curious, why Chicago, with all this incredible potential and all of our assets and the progress we are making, still just hasn't risen to that clear top-tier tech hub globally and nationally. And so she went recruiting people to help think about that question with her. And so at the time, I was a senior partner in BCG, very passionate about Chicago, but also global technology, Chris Gladwin, the founder of Ocient, was one of those early conversants, as was Kelly Welsh, the head of the Civic Committee. They recruited in about 20 other people from various walks of life in Chicago and senior leadership, civic, tech, and from the business community. And then Accenture started, along with BCG and McKinsey, a journey to say, maybe we should gather some facts. It was actually a quote from Oscar Munoz, the CEO of United, said, you can't solve a problem if you don't actually understand it. And so the research really was helpful in identifying where Chicago has leverage. And so what that process led to was a real honest reckoning with specific to Chicago, not just how do we become Silicon Valley or Boston or something, but what is it specifically about Chicago that we haven't brought to reality that is our potential or that is getting in the way? And that's the beginning of P33, is essentially 200 or 300 leaders, tech, venture, university, et cetera, who asked together that question and got answers on paper. All of them were volunteers. When I joined 2 years ago full-time as the second employee, we went from a volunteer group answering those questions to a team trying to make it happen.
So I was going to say, fast forward 24 months, which is not very long by
Yes.
any standards, especially within the nonprofit world. We now have several pillars that we're working on and initiatives, and it'd be great to share what our areas of focus are and some of the achievements that we've had over the last 24 months.
Great. Yeah, there are three big problems the data says we need to work on. The first one is the region has the third best science and engineering in the country, and yet is not in the top 10 in turning science, engineering, underlying IP into jobs or into commerce or into new companies. And so that is a huge source of advantage we're not taking advantage of. And so we have at P33 a whole team working on what you might call deep tech or hard tech or tough tech type problems. And so we've launched the first quantum startup accelerator in the world in Chicago in partnership with 5 or 6 major institutions, which is going to make us a hub for quantum startups. You might have seen last week, we have a whole strategy around electric vehicles and batteries, et cetera. We have a lot of natural advantages, and we won the largest maker of medium and large size electric vehicles in the country. We'll have 2,000 people working here in Chicagoland starting later this year, and a bunch of work in the life sciences, right? So a lot of opportunity to build more there. The second one is what we're talking about here today, which is the research very clearly shows that Chicago has a lot of capital, got a lot of capital in private equity firms and asset managers, and our seed stage investors are getting better, and we're making progress every day. But the data doesn't get to people of color. Or sorry, the capital doesn't get to people of color. The capital doesn't get to women, and it's holding us back. And so with TechRise and a set of other things we're doing, one of P33's goal is to change that, working with others in the community. And I'm really excited. I think this is a great example of how we're going to make progress. And the third and last one is all around talent. And if you think about what it takes to prepare somebody who is able to do engineering or data and analytics or cybersecurity, you don't do that in one boot camp. That takes time. That takes a system. That takes a process to get somebody from middle school in Lawndale into a job at Google. And so we have a whole team on the talent side, essentially reimagining how do we prepare young people for work in tech, so that when we look at the workforce 10 years from now, it looks more like all of Chicago and less like a currently does, which is a dominantly male and white workforce.
Absolutely. One of the things that I only realized once joining was how collaborative P33 is in its mission and vision, and that we've just described a few initiatives that we're working on, but of course it doesn't happen in isolation. We work very closely with some other organizations, many organizations across the city. And I don't know how much we could talk about all the work that we've been doing over the last 12 months, but maybe just highlighting some of the organizations that we're working with as thought partners, because we're not doing this alone, right? We're doing it with a lot of other players.
Yeah, I mean, I think core to the whole setup of P33 is this notion that we need to be working across different silos in Chicago to solve hard problems. And so we think going it alone is actually dangerous, and we're always looking for opportunities to work with others. And so to give a couple of examples, one of the ones we're most proud of is the launch of Discovery Partners Institute. And for those of you who don't know about DPI, it's going to get better every 6 months or every year for as far as we can see. Urbana-Champaign is one of the best universities in the world. It graduates more computer science graduates as the #4 CS school in the country than the other top 5 schools combined. But that 2 hours between here and Urbana means a lot gets lost. A lot of people leave. A lot of really good research gets built elsewhere. And we see really good data that says if students stick around in Chicago as some part of their Urbana experience, they're 30 points more likely to be in Illinois 5 years later. And so with a partnership with P33, DPI has launched. It is meant to be a talent development hub and a science commercialization hub right in the heart of downtown. If you haven't seen the designs for the building they're building just south of the Loop, it is a gorgeous world-class building that will put Chicago on the map. If you haven't dug in a bit to what they're doing at the Pritzker Tech Talent Labs, of which we're a partner, you're missing some of the most fundamental work that's going to happen. And so DPI is for us an example of one of those really important collaborative assets. DPI works with all the other major universities in the region as well to say, how do we build something that works for all of us, not just one institution at a time?
And then I guess something we didn't cover was what P33 stands for. Like, why are we called P33? And what does the year 2033 look like?
So my kids are really excited because 33 is my lucky number, but this is happenstance. So I'm a big Larry Bird fan. And so it made life, I didn't have to change my email address, my Gmail address. But the actual genesis behind it, designed by a set of people from very different backgrounds in Chicago, is pretty clever. And so the P stands for the people and the project. So it's the whole notion of we're working together. And the 33 piece is, 33 is actually 1933. That's when the Columbian Exposition was here. If you go back and read the history books in 1933, Chicago was the place to be if you're thinking about innovation. And in 1833, Chicago was founded. And so by 2033, which will be the 100th anniversary of that moment where Chicago was the center of innovation world, how do we get back to that? And how do we as people do the work, the hard work to make that happen? I think the only thing that's very intentional about how we think about P33 is it's different from regaining our past. Is in 1933, it was a largely all male and all white group celebration of innovation, right? That's who was able to do those things and had access to the resources to do that work in 1933. When we do this for 2033, all of Chicago is going to get to participate.
Well, I haven't been pinged yet that the judges are done, so we can kind of riff on a few extra questions, but I'm curious if there are people watching that want to be supportive of P33, how can they do that, and where should they go?
Sure. So that's one of the parts I love most about P33 is it's designed to harness the energy of the community. And so TechRise is a great example. So if you're passionate about P33 and you want to help entrepreneurs of color and women get going, email Desiree, email me. We're looking for mentors. We're looking for financial support. We're looking for connections. We're looking for more programs and resources to put onto the platform. So if that's your topic, you know where to find us. If you're passionate about workforce instead, and you want to make sure the next generation of engineers looks different than the current generation of engineers, and we make progress there, email me or Matt. We're looking for mentors. We're looking for programs to offer to students. We're looking for connections into universities and employers, internship opportunities, micro internship opportunities, et cetera. So if either of those topics matter to you, we have ample opportunity to plug in and take advantage of your strengths and really sure it helps Chicagoans in a scalable way.
Yeah, and I would just add one more, and that is if you have friends on the coast that are thinking about coming back home, we are working to actively recruit people back who have roots here, whether they went to college here or they grew up here, right? Because this is a great place to live and it only gets better. I mean, yes, of course, taxes are an issue, but besides that, there's so many things going for Chicago. And so,
very well said. I mean, I actually think that might be one of the most important things to ask the group, right? We all believe in this place, but we all have the friend who is really talented, who left 10 years ago because they didn't think there was enough opportunity as a product manager. And that's changed, right? So if you look at just the hiring level at growth stage companies in Chicago on really cool businesses. You know, we're multiple orders of magnitude different than when that person left. And oftentimes they don't know that. And they probably don't want to hear me say it. I'm the cheerleader for Chicago. That is my job. But hearing it from their friend, hearing it from somebody who they really trust and believe and can dig in a bit, you may be one of the best spokespeople. And to be honest, for the growth of our city and our tech scene, getting those product managers back, getting those engineers back, those analytics folks back, the person who's in customer ops at the startup and on the West Coast, we need them. They're a constraint to growth. And so I think it's a great opportunity to really help your city just by reconnecting with people that you respect and believe in and telling Chicago's story in a new way.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I know that there are people that are thinking about leaving obviously the Silicon Valley and New York, where it's been a tough place to be over the last year, but especially as work becomes more remote in general. But I think in the past, we've heard concerns that, well, I might come from one job, but then if that job doesn't work out, what else is left for me? And so one of the things I've been most excited to see about P33 is putting together, this list of great companies that, yes, if you end up being a product manager here and it just isn't the right fit for you, there are 30 other amazing companies at the same salary level and same prestige and same kind of excitement level that you can go and join. So
we've really gone for talent. We've left a world where there were not enough jobs to have labor market liquidity. And the data that we have, and there'll be a really good market map on a website that we're going to launch very soon. The simple conclusion from analysis of the labor market for tech talent here is there's more than enough jobs.
Yeah.
Good jobs.
And soon to be lots of high paying jobs in quantum life sciences and electric vehicles. So
well said.
Yes.
Which are things that, if you think about the electric vehicle play as an example, that's really just going to changes the climate story in such a profound way. And right now, Illinois is one of the centers of making that happen. That's something to be very proud of.
Yeah, no, I agree. When first looking at the landscape a year ago, thinking that we weren't doing enough in climate tech was, I thought, just a real kind of limiting factor for Chicago. And then, but with like Valor's new fund around sustainability and some of the other efforts that we're seeing, both from a funding perspective and some of the companies coming here, I think that story is going to be very different in 5 years, and we will not just catch up, but hopefully be one of the national leaders. So there must be some really tough deliberating going on, because usually they're back like 4 minutes ago. So this is, I understand, a long interview. Oh, great, they are here. Okay, so all of the the competitors, please come back on video on. And once we see all your faces, we'll have one of the judges announce the winner, and then we'll celebrate you. So is everyone back on? I can't actually tell, sorry. Gallery view, there we go. All right. So who is the announcer of the winner?
I was chosen to be the announcer.
Okay.
So hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for your pitch. It was a very hard deliberation. We fought intensely in the back, but we got to a conclusion. So did want to tell you guys I appreciate the pitches and the vision on changing the world and our city. But the winner is Grapefruit Health. So thank you so much. We loved your vision, your go-to-market, your revenue stream, the whole thing. And so we're excited to announce you the winner.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I promise to work very hard with this funding. And thank you very much to TechRise and P33 and my mentors that are listening, and Verizon for this opportunity, for everyone's time. This is awesome. And thanks for all the other candidates too. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
You did my closing for me. Yes, thank you, Verizon, for funding this, and also the additional donors that have come in recently, and some big sponsors will be able to announce in the future. And thank you so much to our judges for taking the time to give these founders the attention that they definitely deserve. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. But just a reminder to the founders that didn't win, like, you're still in the running to come back on other stages. And so we can't wait to welcome you back and get you additional funding. And congratulations, Eric. And we can't wait to see what happens with your business.
Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely.